Are we on? Are we on? Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, we have a very, very special guest. Scratch that. We have two very special guests. Listen, we're going to do it different tonight. So, just stay tuned and let's have some fun. These basketball heads are twins from Newtown High School in Queens. They were teammates with my former teammates, because we all played for the legendary Robert Rebel Boyd, running Rebels in the 80s. And those two guys were all-city performer Omar Lee and my guy Van Macon, now St. John's top assistant coach. But these two basketball heads carved out their own legacy, becoming Division I players in their own right. They started playing ball in the 4th grade, even though one was more interested in the game than the other. It wasn't until 8th grade when they both were on the same page. With all their friends moving on to Catholic school powerhouses such as St. Francis Prep, Molloy, Holy Cross, and McClancy, these basketball heads had to go the public school route because of finances. These basketball heads will find a home at Newtown High School and become an instant hit, teaming up with Omar Lee, Fred Smith, and Van Macon. Their senior year, they put together a memorable 25-1 season. This starting five will go on to play Division I basketball on the next level. Man, only a few teams in New York City history have done that. These basketball heads were heavily recruited and chose to play at Marist and Fairfield universities, respectively. This is going to be one hell of a conversation because these two guys rep New York City to the fullest. They played with some of the greatest players in New York City history. And like I said, they carved out their own lane. And oh yeah, one of these basketball heads have an all-state football and basketball son who's doing damage this year up in Westchester County. So salute to you, young king. So without further ado, help me welcome to the show our first set of twins for Newtown High School. So as we call them, Newtown High School greats, Fairfield and Marist University standouts, Tom and Terry Fitzsimons.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
What's up, fellas? What's up?
Hey, Glenn.
How are you?
How are you? Thanks for having us, man.
Man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, fellas. Don't worry about it. Let me get my hat straight. Because, we rocking the basketball heads gear. For those of you who want that basketball heads gear, hit me up on Instagram. We'll make it happen. What's up, fellas?
All is good. All is good, Glenn.
Good. So, it was good seeing you guys at Newtown High School for you guys' reunion. And like I told the coach, it's a shame that your whole starting five jerseys are not retired. Like that whole team, like your jerseys should be retired for all you guys making Division One, and then just the team as a whole who done so well because Newtown has won 2 city championships. Even though they were in the 20s, they still count. And a lot of schools out here have never won any city championships. And you guys got to that point and almost made it a third, man. So you guys definitely need to be celebrated.
I appreciate that, Glenn. Yeah, I can't believe that was almost over 35 years ago. Time flies, man. I got to tell you, though, playing back at Newtown and in the middle to late 80s, oh, man, Tommy and I came across a lot of great players that we, competed with and competed against. It was just a really, really awesome time to be a basketball player in New York City.
It was such a great time because not only playing in the PSAL, you played against great comp. It was the tournaments immediately afterwards, and it was just a nonstop, endless stream of leagues and tournaments, and then you got to the summer, and it was great, man. It was just a great opportunity to play all the time, and the kids we played against and the kids we came up against, 2 or 3 times a week sometimes, it was great competition. And I would find it hard to believe you could get that competition anywhere else outside of the city. I know we both live up in Westchester now. You don't get that up here because, Terry's oldest is a senior. I have a 10-year-old and he's starting to play. So I'm getting him into an AA program right now. And just going forward, I can't imagine the comp would be nearly as good. But with that said, it was just a great time to play in the 80s. It was.
Yeah, we came up during an amazing era. Like we would call it that golden era of New York City basketball. And, times have changed, man. Things are a little different. And we didn't have to go outside the city too much for great competition. These young guys now, which are doing a fabulous job of keeping the city game alive. A lot of their real competition is still in the city, even though they travel, out of town with their AAU teams. But we're trying to bring that back, trying to bring that city competition level back. And this last couple of years, high school basketball has been amazing in New York City, man, for sure.
Yeah, it's been great. High school basketball has been great. I live about 2 miles from Stepanak, and last year I tried to go see 2 games and I couldn't get in. So that's how the game has spilled over a little bit. Because I remember growing up and always hearing about Stepanak, and lo and behold, 35 years later, I'm living 2 miles from Stepanak, and it's could be the best high school program in the city right now. So
listen, they weren't that good when we was coming up.
Yeah, I know.
No. They're still doing well now.
Maybe Marty Conlon.
Marty Conlon played at Providence and played at the Celtics.
That's right.
It's definitely a lot different. I know. Again, back in the middle to late 80s, all the top players stayed and played in the CHSSA or the PSAL. I know the whole landscape has changed immeasurably. All the top players go to, a prep school up in New England or, down south or whatever. Most of the good players, a lot of the good players, I should say, don't seem to stay. And I know that's kind of changed the landscape. But when we were playing, Glenn, when you were at Lincoln, when we were at Newtown, all the top players were staying in New York City, staying there 4 years. Of course, there were some one-offs here and there, but 98% of the top players were staying in New York City, and that just made for tremendous, tremendous basketball. And even after the high school season, whether it was playing at a tournament at Madison Square Boys Club, or up at LaGuardia House,
Or up at the Gauchos gym.
or at the Gauchos gym. I mean,
The old Gauchos gym.
old Gauchos gym. Yes, yes.
What a great place.
Yeah, yeah.
Great place.
It was a 12-month, it was a 12-month journey every year. There was tremendous competition all year round, and that was just it was just a great time and a great way to get better. A great way to get better.
And I don't think our parents realized like how crazy it was going to get. Just playing in your high school season, Glenn, it used to just be playing in your high school season. And then after our freshman years in Newtown, it was like, I mean, you know about meeting Reb, that changed a lot of stuff too. All of a sudden it was, jumping on the 7 up, to go into Manhattan and taking the 6 uptown. All of a sudden you're playing on 116th Street, like 2 nights a week at LaGuardia House or Kennedy Center or Madison Square Boys Club. We played up at Rucker Park. It was never ending, and it was great. It was great.
And and for two guys from Jackson Heights, Queens, being exposed to all these different places throughout New York City, and again, shout out to my man Reb. Without him, he was
a special guy.
He's a special guy. He was our guy that really took us in and really looked after us at all these places and really helped expose us to all these different places throughout New York City. So hats off to Reb, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know for me personally, Reb playing in a tournament at Madison Square Boys Club, that's where, I mean, we were getting exposure, but I remember my college, the head associate coach at Marist College, Jeff Bauer, who is an NBA lifer. Greg, he was with the Hornets. He was the GM of the Hornets for 16 years. He was Phoenix. He drafted Chris Paul, but I think currently right now he's a scout for the Brooklyn Nets. He told me when I got up to Marist, my second or third year, he's like, the first time I ever saw you was at a Madison Square Boys Club tournament. I thought he'd been watching Newtown, and he's like, no, and I saw you, and I didn't even see you play. I walked in, and I had to leave, but I saw you in the layup line, and I saw you shooting threes, which probably wasn't a great thing. It was kind of my downfall. I got a little too preoccupied with the 3-point shot, But
yeah, well,
great place.
I definitely want to jump right into this, fellas. For everybody who just joined in, thank you for joining in. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for all the great shows that we have coming on in the future. Hit that notification bell so you get notified for all the shows. It'll hit your phone and let you know that we on and rocking, baby. Who introduced you guys to the game?
That was our dad. Our dad played at Power Memorial. He always, before Kareem, before Lou Alcindor.
Wow. Hold on. Y'all gonna get the first tech of the night. You listen, the legendary Power Memorial, which is not even open anymore. So Go ahead, man.
He actually won a scholarship to Power for basketball out of St. Joan of Arc, which was a Catholic grammar school in Jackson Heights, and played 3 years there, got injured his senior year, and basketball kind of took a backseat to other things in his life. But he's definitely the one that first put a ball in our hand, first taught us the form on a jump shot. He was definitely, the guy that introduced us to the game of basketball.
And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he's still with us. He's going to be 88 in June.
Wow!
And,
salute to Dad, man.
He was a busy guy because he had 7 kids to raise, and he worked 5 days a week for Travelers Insurance, and on the weekends he drove a truck for the New York Times, but he did carve out a little time for us.
That's awesome.
And taught us how to shoot, and taught us how to take a layup, which is like going in for a layup is like the biggest step in the world. It's painful to see like an 11 or 12 or 13-year-old kid going for a layup off the wrong foot. It really is to go for a right-handed layup and pushing up your right foot. It's like, oh man, the kid never got taught. So he did that a lot for us.
No doubt. Roger Furman wanted to know, did you guys play in the Flatbush Boys Club?
I don't believe the Flatbush Boys Club. We might have. Again,
That's with Coach Green. Coach Green was over there. Yes, that's still his home to this day.
Yeah, we definitely played some tournaments in Brooklyn. I can't remember.
Soul in the Hole, right? Soul in the Hole.
You guys played at Soul in the Hole. That's we definitely gonna talk about that. That's over in my area in Bed-Stuy. Okay. And also, your teammate is definitely in the building. Salute to my guy Omar Lee is in the building.
What's up, OL?
What's up, OL?
Yeah, man. So, Dad introduced you guys to the game, right? Can you tell me what was your interest growing up outside of basketball? Because I know, we're going to talk about basketball tonight, but, what was the thing that you were interested before basketball? Did you guys play any other sports?
Yeah, we played baseball. I mean, we'd goof around with football, but not organized football, but mostly baseball. Baseball, right? And basketball?
Yeah, baseball, basketball, whatever we could play in 85th Street Park in Jackson Heights where we grew up, stickball.
We played a little hockey, too.
Yeah.
Roller hockey. But 76th Street Park.
Yeah, but from an organized standpoint, it was definitely Little League baseball and basketball. Those are the two sports we played.
Got you. What were some of you guys' earliest memories of watching basketball on television?
Oh, man. I mean, watching, obviously, Lakers, Celtics, that was, incredible. In early June, those championship games. I'm sure Terry can elaborate, but being Saturday mornings, when you were a kid, 11 to 12, and, you kind of fading out of cartoon land, and you're watching, all of a sudden you're watching Duke, Carolina with Al McGuire calling the game on a Saturday afternoon. That was great stuff, man. Great stuff. So those were are my earliest, fondest memories of learning the game.
Yeah, and college basketball-wise, for me, it was definitely Michael Jordan's freshman year, beating Georgetown in '82, and then, of course, the next year, Jimmy V. And then, of course, Villanova beating Georgetown in '85, and coincidentally, the head assistant at Nova, Mitch Bonaguro, is the one that recruited me at Fairfield and was the head coach at Fairfield. So definitely those 3 or 4 college basketball games in the early to mid '80s had me hooked.
Bro, let me tell you, the first college game I ever watched in its entirety was the North Carolina Georgetown game. All my friends is going for Georgetown. I had no idea who anybody was. But since all my friends is going for Georgetown, I went with North Carolina, and that became my team. And then Michael Jordan hit that shot. Him and James Worthy became my guys. Yep. And then found out that Kenny Smith was going there as well. So yep. I was a big North Carolina fan.
Yeah. When we were in 7th or 8th grade, our coach took us to a Molloy practice, and we saw Kenny Smith play. It would have been his junior?
Probably he's going into his senior year.
Going into his senior, yeah.
He was the best player in New York City coming out, I assume. He had to have been. But I remember watching him practice, and I remember watching him. We were all, sitting off in a corner. We were watching the team get ready to warm up. I watched Kenny Smith stretch, warm up, and then he just blew everyone away in practice. I was like, oh my goodness. And they're like, he's going to Carolina. I didn't even know what that meant. They're like, going to Carolina. Right, and then it means everything. So those are our, earliest memories. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then of course, Glenn being in New York City in the middle '80s and St. John's, and Chris Mullen and Walter Berry, Mike Moses. I don't know if you remember that name.
Yes, definitely.
He actually recruited me when he was at the University of Maine. He came to Newtown a couple times to recruit me. But definitely those St. John's teams in the mid '80s, and of course those incredible games against Georgetown at the Garden. That just further enhanced our enjoyment of the game and how much we wanted to be like those guys, without a doubt.
Berry, Mullen, Shelton Jones, Willie Glass,
yep.
Mark Jackson. Those are great teams. Well, we'll see what happens, right? They might have the right coach now. So
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Who was the best player in the neighborhood that you guys were striving to be like? Was it somebody like locally that you guys like? Let's talk about 85th Street Park, right? Who was the guys running that park during that time?
So I'll tell you, who used to come over there every now and then. He was a year older than us. He's a Monsignor McClancy guy who played at Manhattan. Russ Williams.
Russ Williams, my guy. Yep.
Russ would come over every now and then. Was it Daryl Middleton who played at Bryant and then Baylor?
Yo, hold on. Time out. Another tech. Daryl Middleton. I played with him. That's right. I played with him in the Empire State games with Ross Strickland, Boo Harvey, and Derek Chivas.
Derek Chivas.
He was a monster. This guy is like the equivalent of Michael Jordan in Spain to this day.
Yup.
He was something else. He had a brother too, didn't he?
Salute to Daryl Middleton, man. If anybody knows how to get in contact with him, I'd love to get him on the show.
Oh, he was something else, man.
And then you'd always have guys that would sprinkle in. I don't know. Here's another name that would Abdul Fox.
Yeah, another friend
he was
of the
an
show.
Astoria guy. He
played
at Rhode Island. He would swing by every now and then.
This park was popping, man. This park was popping.
Yeah, no, we had some players, absolutely.
And then we were very close to, from our 85th Street Park, you could walk to Elmcor, So was it 127?
Well, yeah, 127, which is where we probably met you. You used to play with Rebel.
Yes.
In the summer.
That's right.
LaGuardia Airport there.
Yeah.
I remember one summer on that team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on the team was Terry and I, probably had 3 or 4 other guys, but there was Derek Phelps was on the team, who won a national championship as the point guard in Carolina. Khalid Reeves was on the team, leading scorer in the country at Arizona, and a skinny kid named Conrad McRae was on the team.
Yeah.
What a sweetheart too.
Rest in peace, Conrad McRae, man. Great
He
guy.
had a sidekick from Brooklyn Tech, Sean, right? Sean Dunston. Conrad was such a great. I think he played on our summer league team for the Runner Rebels, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. And the first year he showed up, he was rail thin, skinnier than me, and I was skinny. And then people were like, poking at him and picking at him. And the following year he came back, and those skinny legs became tree trunks, and he was just ripping the rim apart.
Yep.
And he was a great guy, man.
Great guy.
What a sweet guy.
Yeah. Salute to my guy at Hoop Post. He says he has Daryl Middleton's number. So please, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Yeah. Nah, man, this is awesome. This is awesome. You get to connect with people you haven't seen or heard from in years, man. I remember those days playing with Rab. But when you guys is coming up, right? I know you guys look like you're around the same height now, but Terry, when you was 5'7", right? And Tom wasn't interested in playing, and he had you beat by a couple of inches, did you say to yourself, damn, I wish I had your height?
You know what? I probably in the back of my mind I did, but I was definitely, because I was so much smaller, I was developing my handle and shooting ability from the outside. Glenn, I think I told you this. Freshman year of high school, Tommy was 6'4", and I was 5'7". Tremendous disparity in height for twins.
Yeah.
But then I kept as sophomore year, I think he was like 6'6". I was 5'11". I every year I caught up a little bit more. But when we were freshmen in high school, it was crazy. People couldn't believe we were twins. It was crazy.
Yeah. Greg, I grew way too quick. And
that's Glenn. So
I did
before, but I know you keep saying Greg, and it's all good. But
I'm sorry.
Or you could just call me Pooh. It's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good. Everybody call me Pooh. It's a lot easier. Trust me.
Okay.
It's a lot easier.
Sorry, Pooh.
That's all right.
Way too quickly. And my freshman year, I was 6'4", and I was 6'4", and I couldn't touch the rim. And then I couldn't touch the rim with 6'4", and then by the beginning of my sophomore year, I could like catch an alley-oop. It was wild. It really was. It just happened pretty quickly, and I was probably like 6'5", 6'6". So, but I was always much, much taller than Terry. You know?
Hold on. For a guy who wasn't interested in the game, 8th grade, you guys kind of, was on the same page, right? And then you guys had to make the transition from playing in Catholic school to playing in public school. What was that transition like? And then I want to come back to you, Tom, on how you was able to develop your game and in a couple of years catching alley-oops, because that's a skill within itself.
Yeah, I think it was a very, very hard transition because all of our friends that we played with, like you mentioned before, were either going to McClancy or Holy Cross or St. Francis or Molloy, and we were going to this brand new school where we really didn't know anyone. So it was a hard transition for us. Fortunately, the varsity coach, Warren Albert, took us under his wing and really helped kind of mentor us and make that transition a lot easier. But it was very difficult.
Yeah, Pooh, our freshman year, the Newtown freshmen were in a separate building, like 4 or 5 miles away. So yeah, it was called the Newtown Annex. So we weren't even in like the main building.
Hold on.
It was weird.
What the freshmen wasn't in the same building with the rest of the high school?
No, we were in this.
No, because there was so many students in Newtown, like 4,200, they couldn't fit all the students in one building. In fact, they had an AM and a PM schedule, and they had to keep, I want to say 800 freshmen in a, like Tommy said, in a totally different building 4 or 5 miles away. That it made it even more hard.
Right.
Because we would we'd get on the bus when we got out and trek over there. So, but the head coach made a trip over to see us as freshmen, and he introduced himself and he said, "I heard you guys might be trying out for the team." I don't know how maybe somebody contacted him. I don't even know how, but somebody must have said there's a 6'5", maybe a 6'4", 6'5" freshman walking around at the Newtown Annex. You should probably come talk to him. So, and then of course, Terry, we were kind of a package deal. So,
right.
It's just so Warren Albert came over and talked to us, and we didn't know anybody, man. We didn't know anybody in the school. It was a very intimidating school, Newtown, because you were in a separate building and it was a converted bowling alley, and there were no windows, so you could walk into the school and it would be shining. The sun would be shining, and when you come out, there'd be 4 inches of snow. It was a weird place, man. It was a weird. It was a weird place. It was. But Warren Albert came over and said, "I heard you guys might be trying out for the team. I'll see you there." So he introduced himself. So that kind of like broke the ice for us. So that was, very nice of him to do.
And if you guys was going to Catholic school, you guys have been playing freshman ball. Then if you were really good enough, you probably would have got bumped to varsity, but most likely you probably would have played JV, especially during that time in the 80s. Yeah. That was the rope. So if Kenny Anderson and all these guys, Malik Sealy and all these guys is going through the ropes playing freshman, JV, and then varsity, that was just the way things were. And the public school is a little bit different. So you guys are very lucky.
Yeah, they there was no freshman, there was no varsity, JV. There's only one team.
In the PSAL, they didn't have the funding. I think they implemented a JV team maybe our sophomore years, but by that time we were already on the varsity, so we weren't going to go to the JV team. But yeah, we were very fortunate. Coach Albert saw some potential in both of us and put us on the team, and we definitely took our lumps freshman year.
I got destroyed.
But then you're
destroyed.
What doesn't
humiliated, really.
Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it all worked out for us.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Hoop Post said he said, I recall they played at the Gold and Silver Classic at St. John's in their senior year.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was against
he caught a dunk. Finger dunk.
Yeah,
it wasn't a good dunk.
I remember we played against Taft. I remember that. Yeah.
Taft.
Well, they had Chris Dinkins, but I think he was ineligible, I think. if I
Wow.
recall. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that name.
Sounds very, very vague. Well, because we never even played anyone in the Bronx until we got to the playoffs. So
Okay.
the only guy I was kind of familiar with because he lived in Brooklyn was Craig Carter, and of course Billy Singleton.
Oh yeah, of course.
And those guys, yes. Lamont Middleton as well, my guy.
Lamont, yeah.
Walton, right?
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. Hey Terry, what were some of the things you would do early on to kind of motivate Tom to play? Because I know you wanted your brother to play with you. What were some of the things you would do to get him to play with you?
Glenn, I don't know if I can repeat them on this podcast, to be honest with you. We definitely had a very, very competitive rivalry, even though we were on the same team. I don't know. I would just try and encourage him and just, let him know how blessed he is to be his height, that what he was at that time.
Right.
And just whatever I could do to motivate him. But by the time he got to be at the late part of his freshman year into sophomore year, he was self-motivated. He was really willing to get better, and he knew that basketball could be a ticket for him to get into college, which it wound up being.
And you was catching oops, man. Omar Lee said, y'all killed Tav. Y'all Chris said, we killed them. Chris Tate, he said, and Chris Tate was dead. If anybody know.
O's got the stat sheet.
Right.
Hey, Glenn, and you're talking about oops. Nobody threw a better alley-oop to this guy than Omar. Nobody.
Wow.
He was the best.
One of the best pictures I have. I should have given it to Terry. I should have sent it to you. Is me. Our senior year, we played a game at the Garden. Who did we play? John Adams.
Played John Adams
before Nick game. I don't know how it got scheduled, but our Coach Warren Albert got this game scheduled, and he threw me an alley-oop, and I caught it and threw it down, and it's just the greatest picture. It's the best basketball picture I'll ever have, but for 25 years I didn't see it. I thought I threw it out by accident, and I was up here 2 summers ago, and Terry's like, I found your dunk picture at the Garden, and he pulled it out, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's right on top of this guy's head too, and the guy is underneath, like, looks like shivering.
It's a poster. It was definitely a poster.
Listen, you know how legendary that is to catch an alley-oop dunk in the Garden. That is so legendary. And during that time, none of us was playing in the Garden.
I know.
No.
If we wanted to play in the city championship, we were playing at St. John's.
Right.
So that was so legendary right there.
Thanks, Pooh. I hung on the rim, got a technical foul, and my coach
I'm sure it was well worth it.
I hung on the rim, got a technical, and Coach Albert screamed at me and said, "Why? Because you're at the Garden." I was like, "Why? Where else would you do that?" But Omar was fantastic, and so to play with Van and Omar and Fred just walked in for our senior year. He just walked into the school, 6'9", jump out of the gym, very, very highly skilled, man. We had our four. We had a sixth man, our senior. I know I'm jumping ahead, but Gaston Budez, who did a little bit of everything. He was probably the physically strongest kid on the team too. But he came in at the 2 and played the 3. We had a terrific team. Playing with Van and Omar and Terry.
Glenn, the best part of our team. Mm-hmm. The best part of our team was the unselfishness of our top guys. That Van Macon doesn't get the respect that he deserves. He was a tremendous, tremendous teammate and leader.
He's
and just
an incredible guy,
and just a great guy. And you know what? It shows now what he's done after his career ended and what he's doing at the college level. I mean, Van's got the reputation as the best New York City recruiter, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
He's a gentleman. He's a great guy and a great friend. People don't know this. Van, up at 5-star basketball camp, Van won the 1-on-1 competition of the week. He
wow.
Yeah, he won the one-on-one. It's only 2 dribbles. You know what I mean? It's not like there's dribbling out and going. It's to the rim, 2 dribbles. That's all you had, and he won the competition. And he beat. I mean, there was 5-star was great in Honesdale, PA. It was a great. It was a great camp.
Yep.
Some serious players.
One of the smartest players I played with, Van Macon, and he was definitely hard-nosed defensive player. Like he didn't give up. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted to hold the best player.
Oh, and he would give you whatever the team needed that game.
Yep.
Needed to 15 rebounds, he would do it. If he needed to find the open man, he would do it. If he needed to drop, I remember his junior year, I was hurt at the Monsignor McClancy tournament, him dropping like 34 on Russ Williams, Marlon Miller, and those guys. McClancy was really good that year. Van
and Omar were awesome. Yeah. I had 1 point and I fouled out that game.
Give it to him, Terry. Let him know. We didn't forget. Oh man. Now Jody Gershon said, who is better, Newtown or Hillcrest? And was Hillcrest you guys rivals?
Well, Warren Albert and Coach Gershon were best friends.
Kenny Gershon, God rest his soul.
He just passed away.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I put up a picture of him. Yes, definitely. Salute to your dad, if that's your dad, Jody. For sure.
Him and Warren were best friends.
So, Glenn, we weren't in the same division, but we would always play each other, once a year because of the 2 coaches being good friends. And Hillcrest was, BJ Carter,
Greg Johnson. A beast.
Yes.
They had some really good teams.
He was terrific.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess your son said, didn't Ewing walk in? Did Ewing walk in while you was catching that dunk?
Yes. Ewing walked in. He walked in while we were playing. I don't know if he saw my.
That's a true story, Pat, because the Knicks were playing the Nets after us when we played at the Garden. True story. Yeah.
Listen, I guarantee you they were talking about it in the locker room because somebody had to say it. Listen, high school games are so rare. You got to understand. And I know if you're a ball player or if you're a pro basketball player, you see a kid catch an alley-oop, throw it down, catch a tech, there's going to be some alarms ringing off in the building like, yo, did you see that kid, what that kid did? Because we weren't allowed to play in the Garden back then, man. So it had to be ringing bells somewhere in the locker room, and they was talking. Trust me.
I got to get that blown up.
That would be an awesome poster.
It's on the hood of my car,
Yes. So let's walk me through the youth game tournament, right? Terry, walk me through the youth game tournament and how you got picked. What did you have to do to make the team? And all the great players that you had a chance to play with.
This is a very interesting story. Go ahead.
Very interesting story. So this was spring summer of 1986. So it was between our sophomore and junior year. And I don't know if you're familiar with Lost Battalion Hall in Queens.
Yes, for sure.
Legendary place.
Yes.
Right by the Queens Center Mall. Legendary place.
Yeah.
Anyway, they invited, I don't know, 100
best 15-year-olds in the city.
All the top 15 and younger players in New York City. So Rob Wardan, Kenny Anderson,
Adrian Autry,
Brian Reese was like a 12-year-old dunking everything. It was crazy. And I'll never forget. And they had to try out again, like 120 kids or whatever. And I got cut. I didn't make the team. Tommy made the team. And like a few days later, they called up our high school coach and said, oh, is that what happened?
No, I went to the coach, but there was 2 coaches. I said, listen, my brother was here, last week. He got cut. He's better than I guess he played. Maybe you can give him another shot. And they said, okay, bring him down again. Go ahead.
So I went back and played well. And coincidentally, Kenny Smith's brother, Vincent Smith, was one of the coaches. God rest his soul too. I know we lost him too early. He was a great coach. And we kept having these workouts and practices, and I kept playing better and better. And Tommy actually got hurt. He hurt his ankle.
And they kept cutting guys. But it got to a point there were like 14 guys. Right?
Yeah, and then
all of a sudden, I sprained my ankle for the first time ever, like really badly. And I'm out for, 2 weeks. And then I come back and I start playing again. And like, I can't remember his name, but the coach, I was playing so well. And then I rolled my ankle again, like badly. I went down hard. And at the end of the practice, we're like, I'm so sorry. We're leaving in like 7 or 8 days. We're very, very sorry, but we have to cut you. Because I couldn't play. So not only did I get cut from the team, but I got my brother back on the team, and he started in the backcourt with Kenny Anderson.
True story. We played 6 games down in Birmingham. I started 4 out of the 6. And again, on this team, we mentioned some of the names. Brian Reese, Rob Wardan, who was tremendous down there. Terrence Mullen, Chris's younger brother.
Brendan McCaffrey played at Zavarian.
Brian Walker, who played at Hillcrest, was on that team.
Where did he go? He played at Syracuse?
No, I can't remember where he played. Jimmy Keene, who played at Monmouth from St. Peter's. Kenny White, who scored 75 in a high school game out at Farrell, who then had a really good career up in Vermont. Yeah. Really good. This was a really good team. What a tremendous experience it was to play down there in Birmingham in 1986. And Kenny had just finished his freshman year at Molloy, won the state title, and he was like everybody. This is before social media, but everybody knew who he was, and he put on an absolute,
Another tech, right? All these are positive texts. First of all, we had to do some fact checking, and my guy who posts was on it as well. While you guys is speaking, I had to go check that fact, and Vincent Smith is still alive, right? Which is cool. Thank God for Vincent Smith still being alive, and it's all good.
My apologies. I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good. And another thing, Kenny Anderson did not win a state championship his freshman year. He won a city championship because we beat them his freshman year. Up in Glen Falls. I couldn't let you get away with that.
You have to look that up.
Glenn,
let me tell you.
All I know is he put on a show in the city that whole year.
Yeah.
And he put on a show in the youth games down in Birmingham too. He was the man down there, and it was just a tremendous honor to play with all those guys. And again, Coach Vincent Smith, I apologize. You were a tremendous influence on me, and I apologize for that mistake. And I'll never forget that summer playing for you, Coach. So,
let me tell you, for you to be able to start in the backcourt with Kenny Anderson says a lot about your game and where you was back then, because Kenny was definitely the New York City point guard of that era, right? Here's a guy who was the best freshman in the country who didn't play the first quarter of any game.
Right.
Like, that's what we knew. We had to take advantage of that time period when he was out of the game. So, what he did to other guys, the upperclassmen throughout the city was just memorable.
Without a doubt.
He was so good, like, to play with him. Like, he had to play down, a few levels. No, he did. He was just so much better than everyone. It was crazy. I remember playing, I guess it was after our senior year, in the wheelchair classic. And Kenny was on our team, and I was, sitting on the bench watching, and then I got in, and then I was watching him, you can't keep your eyes off him. And I was just, we were watching, we were just like, he has to play down, 3 or 4 levels. He was so good. He was so good.
Yeah, he really was.
It was something else to watch, man.
Man, salute to my guy Chibs, man.
Yeah.
All day, every day. So, like myself, you guys went to a 5-star in BC. BC, right? Because that's what I only get to now. But I just want to tell a great story about BC camp. So, or was it 5-star BC? I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was 5-star. And you know, the New York bus pull up and they're playing New York. They playing the Frank Sinatra song, right? And then the Virginia bus pulls up and they're playing Shirley Murdoch song, It's Morning. And we was like, I'm going, and we didn't catch on for it because we was like, oh, they're hip. They playing the R&B, you know, slow jam. And then it kicked in. Guys is like, no, stupid. It's Alonzo Mourning.
Oh.
So meanwhile, they played one song for our whole state and then played one song for one of the top players in the countries. Oh, yes. And he blocked about 1,000 shots that week.
Well, Glenn, I remember BC All-Stars. We met right in downtown Brooklyn,
right
across the street from Juniors.
That's right.
Like 40 of us from New York City and drove BC. I think it was in Gettysburg, PA.
Gettysburg.
Dave Edwards.
One of the best ball handlers I've ever seen.
Norman Marbury. I mean, who else was
I don't know, Alvin Rich.
Al Rich. There were all these top New York City players on that bus, and oh man, that was quite a week. That was quite a week up there.
And then we got down there. I think the second night, I don't know, some kids were goofing around. They asked
couple New York City kids got kicked out. We're not going to go into any of the details, but they got thrown out of the camp.
I think I heard about that story. And I think someone that came on the show talked about that incident.
Yeah.
For sure.
We were there for that. Oh
man, New York City always causing the ruckus.
Yeah.
Man. So, you know, when we talk about the other big men in the city, were there any other big men in the PSL? We know that the Catholic school has a few. Were there any other big men? Like you guys was, you know, 6'5", 6'7", 6'9".
Alvin Rich.
No, he was a guard. He was a guard. You had Daryl Mims.
Daryl Mims, yes, Lincoln, yes.
Good player.
He was good, but he was like a 6'6" power guy, you know?
Right.
But in terms of tall guys in the PSAL, I mean, Luther Tutt maybe was he at August Martin, a year older than us? I can't really think of too many big guys in the PSAL. I really can't. I'm thinking because the CHSSA would probably scoop them up, you know? I just remember being mostly guards and wingmen that we played against in the PSAL. I mean, some really good ones, though.
Yeah.
So now, you know, your freshman year, you guys are developing. When was you guys breakout year? Like, when do you say, you know, you guys came into your own and was confident enough to you know, make that 25-1 run?
I would say like towards the mid to end of our sophomore year. Like all of a sudden, you know, Omar showed up our sophomore year.
Van showed up our sophomore year.
Van went to McClancy his freshman year, and then transferred to Newtown. And we had known Van, playing ball with him. You know, he grew up.
He was the next neighborhood over,
20 blocks away.
Yeah.
We met him at Blessed Sacrament. We played on a CYO team together. But I guess middle toward the end of our sophomore year, we were like, wait a second, you know, we could have something pretty good.
And then junior. So then this was after the summer, after the September after the youth games, where I really got good. I'll never forget. I came back and I broke my ankle in the park playing, and I missed I didn't get back on the court till December. I played this is our junior year. I played like 4 or 5 games and then broke my wrist. So I barely even played my junior year. Which definitely, I think, you know, had an impact. We didn't have a super deep team as it was, and me not playing a lot definitely impacted us. We lost to Springfield Gardens our junior year in the playoffs. They wound up winning not only the city, but I'm pretty sure, and I'd like for someone to double check this. I'm pretty sure Springfield, our junior year, so this would have been 1987. They won the state title. They beat Molloy up in Glens Falls that year. I'm almost positive.
Okay. We definitely gonna fact check that.
Yeah, and then they were loaded. They had Alvin Rich,
Zeus,
Henry Anderson, Zeus, the Icebox,
guard.
Kenny Carter. They
Yeah.
were good. They were.
What year was that?
That was 87. So it would have been 86, 87. I think Springfield beat Molloy in the state title.
Okay, so in 87, in the A division, Our Savior Lutheran won. They beat let me make sure.
Springfield.
They beat Archbishop Molloy.
Okay, so this,
And then what? Okay.
So let me see.
They had the A Train, Jonathan Duck.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Hold on now because 85, 86, because 86 we lost in the state championship to Binghamton.
Okay.
Yeah, they touched us up pretty nice in that 12:30 game because we beat Kenny Anderson in them Friday night, 8 o'clock overtime game to play Our Savior Lutheran and beat them in double overtime and Saturday 8 o'clock game or 7:30 game, and then Sunday we play at 12 o'clock.
Oh man, that's tough. Woo, that's hard.
So salute to King Rice and the whole Binghamton squad.
Yeah.
But they didn't win. They won the city championship. Now I know they won the city championship. I definitely know they won the city championship in 87.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So
Glenn, you got me on two things there. I apologize.
Now listen. If I wasn't behind this computer, I wouldn't remember all this stuff.
No.
And the only reason why I know it now is because I do this show. Trust me, it's a lot of things that I'm just finding out now that I didn't know back then. So you said 87, right? So boom, let's go to it. 87 Springfield Gardens. Yeah. Springfield Gardens, they beat Stevenson.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's definitely
So they were really good, and they were all juniors. So they came back their senior year, which was Tommy and I's, Omar and Van's senior year.
the whole team came
Their
back.
whole team came
Right.
back, and we beat them in the Queens Championship, basically the city quarterfinals.
right.
At the buzzer.
At the buzzer,
by
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Fred Smith had a putback.
Now-
Incredible game.
Now you guys is telling me that Fred came late to the game. What was that about? Yo, Fred, what's going on, fam? Like my guys is trying to win the city championship and you come to the game late. What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm sure Omar will chime in here. I know.
What happened? What happened?
Fred definitely showed up late and against Lincoln. I think Coach benched him the first quarter. He
He
didn't,
could have.
and it definitely impacted us.
Who the hell do you think he is? Earl Manigo? Who comes late to a playoff game, fam?
Fred Smith, that's who. But anyway, we're gonna let bygones be bygones there.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Now, and I'm quite sure that you guys were very tight, right? Because the only way you get to become 25-1 if you guys are a tight-knit group, you got along, and you like to play with each other. I tell kids this to this day. The most successful teams get along, know each other's roles, respect each other, and willing to do whatever it takes to win.
I just think it came down to being so unselfish. I'm not positive, but I think 4 guys averaged 14 and 1 guy averaged 18. We all know who averaged 18.
He's been on your show.
He's been on your show.
Right,
I was
right.
sitting back watching this, saying it was actually 18.6 game. A game. He was sensational, but Van, Fred, Terry, myself, we all averaged 14 a game, which that's pretty good balance. 4 guys average 14, 1 guy average 18. That's pretty good. So
That's not happening. That's not happening today.
No.
That's definitely not happening today. I'm quite sure there are some teams out there that came close to it, but all 5 guys averaging double figures and going Division One, that's very hard to do, brother.
No, absolutely. And again, like Tommy said, I think the unselfishness, and that was really our coach too. He really preached, hit the open man, pass it ahead.
But we kept it very simple. Like our offense, on man to man, we were double stack, popping out. The guy in the bottom stack pops out. You post up, screen away. It wasn't like, it wasn't complicated stuff. And against the zone, we pick it apart. Van, Omar would penetrate gaps. Terry would shoot outside, and I'd roam the baseline, and we had Fred in the middle. So it was a very, very well balanced team.
No, absolutely. I think as you go farther along in a state tournament or city championship, you do get exposed. And we did not have a deep team when you got in. Again, we had a really good 6-man Gaston Budez, who was really good, could do a little bit of everything.
Solid.
But after that, I feel like we had guys that weren't experienced, and that definitely, played a factor in the Lincoln game. And again, Fred coming late too. Tommy got in foul trouble. I think Fred got in foul trouble.
We were up by 5 with 2 minutes left.
And yeah, but again, it was
city. We should have won the city.
Yeah, no, I know. We think about it all the time. We definitely do. But and again, another shout out to Omar. He was tremendous that whole postseason run because teams would really they would say, hey, we stop Omar, we stop Newtown, and that wasn't the case a lot of times. But he would definitely, guys they'd put 3 or 4 different guys on him to try and wear him out, and I never saw him get tired. I don't know. He
never got pressured. Never got pressured. I don't think I've never seen him get his pocket picked.
Well, and always just always under control too. Always under control, and always knew where to get you the ball where you were super comfortable getting it. And if you got it and you missed it, he'd let you know you're messing up my assist.
Yes.
That's what he would say. Don't mess up my assist. All right.
But it was a tremendous team, incredible memories, and again that time in New York City was great. Hey, and another guy who was around a lot, who's recently passed, is Tom Konchowski. He was at a lot of our games, and I just wanted to give a shout out to him. He was definitely a major influence to Tommy and I.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He came to our graduation party, and then the summer right before we left to college, Terry and he wanted to take us out for lunch. Remember we met him in the city on 2nd Avenue, 50-something street, like a diner.
I do.
And he just said, I want you boys just to, do the right thing up at school. Don't get into trouble. Be careful. He was just a gentleman. I mean, he ran that HSBI report for like 50 years, right? It was.
Well, I think he started in the early 80s, and he didn't have a driver's license, so we would see him in the subway in Queens at random times. We'd see him walking like he was a very, very unique guy. And
for years for the New York City Marathon, I lived on 64th Street and First Avenue in Manhattan for 25 years. For years, New York City Marathon. It's just wild. When I was there on a Sunday, I would see him at the same spot on the corner of 64th Street on the southwest corner. That was his spot every year for the New York City Marathon. So he was, and I'd walk over and chit chat with him. It's funny, like I wouldn't see him. I'd see him from a distance, but he always knew like what I was doing, like what I was doing for a living. Photogenic
memory.
Yeah, he just
very just a special guy. So we just wanted to give a shout out to him.
Listen, I want to take a 5-second pause real quick to Mr. Tom Kachowski, New York City legend, icon, and Hall of Famer, for all the things that he done for the city. He done some great things for me and helped me out in my life as well. So let's take about 5 minutes and show our respect for Tom Kachowski. Man, listen, I'm glad you guys touched on this, right? Because this is dear to my heart. This year, the Tom Kachowski Foundation, along with Coach Rob Holford, who was his close friend, contacted me about partnering up with them to help them put together the Tom Kachowski All-City Game. It's happening June 15th at Molloy High School. We're going to have a select city game, and then afterwards is going to be an all-city game, public versus Catholic schools. This is such a great segue. I'm glad because, I wasn't going to mention it, but since you guys brought it up, we just want to keep promoting this and keep putting it out there. Tom has played a major role in all three of our lives as you people are on this show hearing, and have done some great things for the city and players from all across the country, but he was dedicated to New York City. And I remember telling him that I kind of want to do some of the things he'd done for the city, but I didn't know that it would be in this position. I didn't know. I just started the show 3 years ago. April 30th was the third year of me starting Basketball Heads. And, I don't have a license as well. It expired and never renewed it. But anyway, I just said to myself, if this guy could get on the train, bus, cab, whatever it takes and get to these games, then I can do the same. And covering the New York City games, interviewing kids and coaches, players and coaches after the game, doing many write-ups on my Instagram page and Facebook page, just to highlight the kids because they don't have newspapers to cover them anymore like they do with you guys and myself, who have tons and tons of articles. This is our way to pay our respects to Tom Kachowski and let him know how much he meant to New York City and us as players, and make sure that his name live on forever and is done the right way and done with class. So June 15th at Molloy High School, which is the school he attended, we will be hosting the Tom Kachowski Foundation All-City Game. So please, if you guys can make it, come on out. I already told Omar about it. We're going to, make this an event that we can do from decades to come.
We'll be there. We'll be there. We'd love to.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you guys on that, man. So go ahead.
No, I mean, when you think about it, like his report, Boo, Terry, myself, all the friends, like every one of us has been in his report multiple times, evaluated, and that's a lot of work and a lot of effort, and that's a lot of games. That's a lot of sitting on wooden benches, it's incredible to me that he would, be able to do something like that. And it's a big part of the evaluation process. Back when coaches got, a thing in the mail with players' names and evaluations and a number, you assigned a number, like that went a lot. That went a huge, long way for coaches to get in touch with us and know about our game without really seeing us in person. So
Yep.
he did so much for so many people, so many kids that played got into a Division II school, a Division I school. He did so much for all of us. You kind of like it. You don't even think about it, you know.
Just on his word, there were no videos.
Oh,
Just on
There
his,
was no highlight reel. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook, TikTok. It was just on Mr. Kachowski's word.
yep. Absolutely.
So you should give a shout out to everybody who was all city of public school, high school, and our era, new kids now. Yo, let me tell you. Only Obo can say something like that. It would be. First of all, it would be so many people in the name. But what we are going to do, and which this thing is starting to take legs on its own. Coach Haskins spoke to Coach Harford today and told him that Albert King wanted to come to the game. Sam Worthen texted me and was like, yo, what's going on? Is this game real? Is this game happening? So, man, this is going to be an awesome event, man. So you got the legends wanting to come out and participate. So it's taking legs of its own. And I want to give a shout out to all the coaches that will be coaching. My guy, Kamar, will be coaching the all-city team. He's assistant coach at Eagle Academy, who won the city championship.
Yeah.
And then you got that's Kamal LaGrude. You got Nolan Johnson, who will be coaching the select team, along with my guy, Coach Justin at Transit Tech. And then for the Catholic schools, you'll have my guy Saquon Stone, who coaches at Zavarian, and then Don Francois, who coaches at Molloy. So we want to make sure that is done. Oh yeah, it will be online. It will be live. It will be shot. Definitely, all that will be on the flyer. But it will be shot with my not with basketball head, because I'll be too busy running around. But it definitely will be live streamed. But if you can make it, I know you can't make it because you way out of time. Talk to my guy Hoop Post, who runs an amazing platform as well. You check out, he does a lot of New York City history, hooppost.com. He does a lot of amazing stuff on New York City basketball. So make sure you check him out. He also has a podcast as well. For sure. How was you guys recruiting, right? What was the recruiting process like for you guys?
There was Terry, because Terry missed his junior year. Schools came in much later, right?
Much later, yeah. I was hurt, like I mentioned earlier, pretty much my entire junior year. Tom definitely, after his sophomore year into his junior year, he had what he did up at 5-star, and then his junior year, he had definitely a lot of schools on him early. And for me, it was later. I mean, the schools that were recruiting me was Fordham, Maine, Hofstra, Fairfield, and ultimately Fairfield, was the best fit for me.
Fordham recruited us for a while as like a package deal. Sort of.
Yeah, that was the only school that recruited both of us.
And the guy that was recruiting us was Stan Van
Gundy. Yeah. Yep.
And I had like 5 or 6 schools. Honestly, I actually made a verbal commitment to Manhattan College. I had 2 cousins going. I had a cousin there and another cousin there going there. My parents were like, it's in the Bronx. It'll be in the same conference as Terry. They were like, my parents were really pushing it. And then my dad was like, just go visit Marist. So I went up to Marist and took a visit, and I really liked it. So, 4 or 5 days later, the head associate coach from Manhattan called me and said, hey, I heard you went up to Marist last weekend. I was like, I did, coach. He's like, well, have you made a decision? I said, yeah, I'm going to Marist. And this guy was pretty upset. And the head coach was a guy named Bob Delabovi. I don't know if you remember that name, but he had two other commitments from players, two other players. It was myself, another guy that played at Seton Hall named Gordy Winchester,
Gordy, my
and
guy.
another
Yeah.
guy that played at St. Ray's that was sensational named Michael Thompson. No,
Yeah. Michael Thompson, yes, he went to Drexel. He was on the show. He was like my third guest on the show. Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I changed my mind, and then for whatever reason, it wasn't because of me, but Della Bovi, maybe like 3 weeks later, got fired. And Mike Thompson got out of his commitment, and so did Gordy Winchester.
Yeah.
And they both had great careers. So I ended up going to Marist, but there were like a handful of other schools, Northeastern, Fresno State, Manhattan, Marist, FDU, some other schools, but Marist was an hour and a half away. It was close enough for my folks to get up there, and Fairfield was an hour from Queens. So it was a nice little like triangle for my parents and our family to come see us play.
And it was great when it was April of or late March of our senior year. We had the two Marist coaches and the two Fairfield coaches came to our house, and we had a dinner, and we signed our letters of intent together, which was really neat. And coincidentally, the Fairfield coaches and the Marist coaches had a friendship, and they said, because of this, Tom going to Marist and me going to Fairfield, we'll definitely play each other one time a year, which they did. It was great. So that was a lot of fun in college playing against him.
Isn't it awesome when college coaches keep their word, right?
Yeah.
That's such an awesome thing. And what's the irony that, Terry, who was the guy out there trying to get you, Tom, to play, and he gets hurt, you become the guy who gets the majority of the letters, and still, you guys both go to awesome schools and were able to get college degrees and play college basketball.
It's crazy. It's crazy how the world works sometimes. And coincidentally, on top of all this, I kind of I had lost touch with my college coach, Mitch Bonaguro, for years. And then with my son, Matt, being back on the scene, we reconnected. He even worked Matt out a couple times, which was great. And it brought us back together. And coincidentally, Mitch, Coach Bonaguro, he's a Queens guy, played at Lachlan, then at BC. So it's New York City guys always, it's the full circle, like we hadn't been in touch for a couple of years, and then we reconnected. So it's just wild how this sport will do that sometimes. It's just crazy.
Listen, I walked away from the game for about 20 years. Just had some family things that, some family responsibilities that I had to take care of, right? Being a college graduate, mom passed away 4 months after I graduated. Came home, had to take care of my nieces, help raise 2 girls, which was, a lot just for a kid just graduating. And I didn't have that drive anymore to pursue basketball because of the family responsibilities that I had. And for some reason, how the world worked, the Most High kind of brought me right back into the fold. And my friends had 2 friends that was pushing me to do something in basketball. They knew I was coaching. I began to coach my high school team, and we won a city championship. And then in this charter school league that we didn't have back then, but, was able to do that. And then my other best friend was telling me I should start a basketball show. And I was like, who wants to talk about basketball? He's like, no, I think it'll be cool. And then my last friend who worked for NBC, he just came out the blue one day. It was like, yo, you ever thought about starting a basketball show? And I was like, yo, this got to be a sign. Like, you got to stop ignoring the signs. And here we are, man. And it brought me right back into the fold. And, see how the game do. this
And
great
Glenn-
game we call basketball.
Absolutely. And Glenn, I got to tell you, this whole site and what you've done the last 3 years of connecting the past to the present to the future is awesome. I can't tell you how much I enjoy the podcast and hearing all the stories from the 70s, 80s, and 90s and 2000s and all these guys that have come through New York City basketball and the coaches. It's just been it's great. Keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome, man. I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. It takes you, it whips you right back to like being competitive in these leagues, summer leagues, and your obviously high school team. It's just all the names, all the players, man. There's so many players that we haven't even mentioned. You know, just guys that played on our summer league. Lambert Shell was one of the best players I've ever seen.
Yes.
I mean, scored 3,000 points in college.
Yeah.
Lambert Shell was one of the greatest players I've ever seen. Another guy, I mean, there's a lot of guys. Carlton Hines, you know? I remember going up to Roberto Clemente Park up in the Bronx and playing against
Rest
him.
in peace, Carlton Hines. Yep.
With Billy Singleton and like getting destroyed, but saying, man, this is incredible. The comp was great. I think the A-Train was on that team too.
Yeah. I had in the background, you see Jim Kerr Jr., this son of legendary coach from Holy Cross, Jim Kerr, right?
Yeah.
And we celebrated his dad. I thought that was awesome. Salute to Derek Chivas for connecting us. And, you know, when I met you at Tom and Terry, not met you guys, but kind of saw you guys in Newtown, we reconnected, and you guys tell me you watched the show. It always blew me away. You know, I still haven't gotten used to it. People bump into me in the street and they yell out, "Basketball heads, love what you're doing." So that really means the most to me, man. Just getting compliments from my peers, man, definitely means a lot, man.
Because and Glenn, I got to tell you what you told me at Newtown that day when we were talking about just a Hall of Fame or just a history of the past and how you go into all these schools and some of these schools don't have it. I think it's powerful and it's so influential for schools to have it because that type of thing, whether it's being in a trophy case or up on a banner, it shows the kids it gives the kids that are there currently something to shoot for, and it gives them a connection. It gives them a mentorship. So just me having that conversation with you about that was awesome. And I want to tell you, I am having some discussions with Newtown about that. We're in the early stages, but I think we're moving in the right direction. We'll see.
It doesn't cost too much to celebrate your past, right? I know I don't like going to naked gyms that have a lot of history and legacy, right? You know, you go to the Boys and Girls, you see their history. You go to Jefferson, you see their history. You go to the Lincolns, you see their history. Mount Vernon High School, I could go on and on and on, but I also could go on and on about schools who have a legacy and rich traditions who don't celebrate their past. And I think in order for New York to stay great, we need to celebrate our past so the kids can know where the hell they're going and where they come from.
Absolutely.
How did you guys manage without each other in college?
Oh, it was easy.
Glenn, I got to tell you, it was the best thing that ever happened to us. I know I was talking before about our competitive, spirit and the competitiveness we had between each other. There were points in high school where I wanted to rip his throat out. I think the best thing that ever happened to us was separating because it definitely brought us closer together.
I would agree. Yes, I would agree. But then after college, we played in all these leagues, Urban Professional, 92nd Street Y. So we didn't play with each other in college, but after college, we moved back home and got jobs, but we would play in two leagues for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Glenn, he could be difficult to play with too. You know, I'm just saying. You know, he's my brother. I love him. But I mean, I a perfect example. You know, get a rebound. I shoot out. I'm on the fast break. It's 2-on-1. He has the ball. It's him, defender, and me. I'm almost at the rim. He looks at me, lays it in. Okay. We won that. We're running back. He turns to me and says, "I saw you." I took a swing at him, and I took a swing at him.
Wow.
But I mean, he's like, "I saw you. I was wide open." But it was not as hectic in high school. It wasn't that. I mean, I think Terry's saying, you know, it was competitive, but I mean, again, like our high school team, we were so unselfish. Get us out of the high school, you know, in a different league, especially these leagues after college. He's just a gunner, you know. Just
So
it's shoot first with him.
Listen, I want you to go into the stories and let everybody know about how you play with the Globetrotters and what was that like.
Oh, well, that was after Fairfield for me. I got the opportunity
to lose professionally.
Well, no, I got the opportunity to travel around the world with the Harlem Globetrotters and play on the team that they play against, the Washington Generals. It was a very, very awesome experience for me to go to places that I've never been. Japan, Spain, all over the U.S., Canada, Mexico. Playing like 25 NBA arenas. It was just a really, really unique experience for me, and something I wouldn't trade for anything. I did it at the point in my life where I was 22, 23, didn't really have any responsibilities or anything. So it was the perfect time for me to do that. And again, the opportunity to travel the world and get paid to do something that you love was an awesome experience for me.
Man. Salute to Marcel Smith. Great show. A lot of history is in the building, for sure. If y'all don't know who we got in the building right now, we got the Fitzsimons twins, Tom and Terry Fitzsimons, Newtown great. Appreciate you, Marcel. Appreciate you. Definitely. Who posted a teammate was Marvin Walters. Rest in peace.
Yeah, so that was my teammate at Fairfield University, Marv Walters, from Philly, Germantown Academy. Unfortunately, he passed a couple years ago. Was an awesome guy.
He kind of took Terry under his wing as Terry was a freshman. He's a very wonderful guy.
Marvin, and actually another guy, a New York City guy, Eddie Duncan.
Ed Duncan. Yes.
Great guy.
Yes.
Marvin Eddie.
Ed.
Yeah, Marvin Eddie definitely took me under their wing, and rest in peace, Marv. I love you and I miss you, man.
No doubt. He said, we work with the Globetrotters. Cool. That's dope. Look at this.
Yeah, it was it was actually Marv's birthday today too.
Wow.
Yeah, I know he's looking down right now.
Man, salute Marv, and appreciate you, man, for taking care of my guys from New York City, man. Appreciate that. Thank you. May you rest in peace. For sure. See, look, you can't even things like that, man, is sad moments, but the world needs to know. You know what I'm saying? So definitely salute Marv, man. Salute, and rest in peace. For sure. So let's talk about this, right? You know, Tom, you became a stretch four, which wasn't, they didn't call it that back then, right?
They didn't.
They didn't call it a stretch four. It was just a big forward that could step out and shoot.
Yeah, I told you that could possibly shoot, from 15, but I ended up being like a pretty good 3-point shooter. My freshman year, we were 15 and 13. My sophomore year, we were 17 and 11. Who I got to be totally honest, my sophomore year, my second semester sophomore year, I couldn't play because of my grades. And to this day, it's got to be one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me. I was so embarrassed. I let my family down. I let myself down, my teammates. And then I came back my junior year, got my grades back up. And right before, this is a very memorable moment for me, right before my junior year started, Jeff Bauer, who was the head associate coach, right before we started practice, October 15th, I was walking by his office. And he just said, "Fitz, come here." And I poked my head in his office, and he just looked at me and said, "I still believe in you. I still believe in you." And so I had a much better junior year and a decent senior year. I had a handful of good games, 14, 16 here and there. But I think Jeff Bauer recruited me to, I don't remember if you remember a player that played at Penn State, but he always referenced this guy. It was a 6'8", 6'9" guy that would shoot tons of threes and take it to the rim and do a little post up. His name was Tom Hovas.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was like a great all around player. And my coach always said, "You're in the mold of this guy, Tom Hovas. I think you do, a little bit of everything." So I guess that's what I did. I wasn't the best rebounder in the world. But I did some little things here and there. And I had a, quote unquote, really, really good touch for a 6'8", 6'9" guy,
And you both kind of missed some basketball in your careers. You, Terry, to an injury, and Tom to academic ineligibility, right? But you guys didn't give up. You guys didn't quit, and turned out to be great human beings, because that's what it's all about, right? Everybody's not going to make the pros, right?
Yeah.
You tell a kid, especially I work in a high school, you tell a kid, I play college basketball, and they're like, "So why didn't you make the NBA?" Like, chill out, fam. Like, you play high school basketball, you're not going to play in college. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a different level of expectation, or of achievement. And I think when you hit to that college level and you're doing what you want to do and getting your education paid for, you couldn't ask for anything better, man. Terry, you was like the 3-point specialist as well, right?
I was. That's what I was recruited for at Fairfield, and I had a decent career in college. I think I had mentioned to you, when I was at Fairfield in the MAC, there were some very formidable teams. The one that really gave us major headaches was LaSalle with Lionel Simmons.
Ooh, he was a beast.
Lionel Simmons, Legler, Doug Overton. I mean, they had a bunch of pros on that team, and we could never get over the hump against them, and that definitely made things challenging. So we were middle of the MAC most of the time when I was there. But again, wouldn't trade my 4 years at Fairfield for anything. It was a tremendous experience. Played 4 years of college basketball, and again, met my wife there. Just a tremendous experience up there that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Man, that's so awesome, man. That's definitely awesome. What was life like after basketball? Because we all go through transitions, right? You guys went from the transition of going from Catholic school to public school and into the universities, and now you guys are entering the real world. How was that next transition for both of you guys?
I guess it was a little tough. I really didn't want to enter the real world. I just wanted to keep playing, But I mean, like you said, playing professionally is just another stratosphere. It's like, oh, you play D1 ball, you couldn't play the NBA. No, do you know anybody that plays?
Right.
And I always say, like, the worst player on the worst team in the NBA is the greatest player you will ever get the opportunity to play against. If you have the opportunity. But I just wanted to keep playing. But we got jobs after school. Nothing. I've had a bunch of jobs after school, and only after 8 or 9, 10 years, something like stuck. And I've been doing the same thing for the last 20 years. But But it was a transition, It's college is a lot of fun, and it's playing college ball. I just think put you in. You have to get your stuff together, and you have to be able to organize your time. That's what you have to do for the rest of your life. And they say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. But when you're playing and you go to class and doing all that stuff, you're sort of getting into this rhythm that's going to sort of put you on a trajectory for being a productive adult. So that was my transition. It took me a little while to be a productive adult, but I got there.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, it was. I would say it was an easy transition, but playing professionally with the Globetrotters after, I at 23, 24, I definitely felt that I took basketball and basketball took me as far as I could go as it relates to that, and I just knew it was time to get start a career, which I was fortunate to do. And coming from the household that we came from, our parents definitely instilled a work ethic and a self-reliance that we definitely, they weren't going to help us, so we had to help ourselves. And I think playing a sport and getting a Division I scholarship really taught us a lot of life lessons and prepared us to start a career. So for me, I was ready to jump into the workforce and start another life outside of basketball, which is what I did. And I know I'd shared with you, I'm up in Westchester. I have a wife and 2 kids, and but basketball definitely, without a doubt, I leveraged it the best I could to open doors for me to meet people, and I wouldn't be where I am today without it. So I don't take it for granted. And again, I treasure the time playing in New York City hoops and in college, and it was just a great experience for me.
Same here.
No doubt. If you guys could change one thing about your basketball journey, what would it be, Tom?
Well, I have it's one thing, but it's broken into 10 parts. I'm only kidding. I would have concentrated on getting stronger. I was always thin, and I was thin. I was 6'8", 185 as a freshman. I was a slight guy. I never made the commitment to getting stronger. I mean, I would goof around in the weight room, but it was goofing around. It wasn't I wish I could have done that differently. And I feel like with strength comes more ability, and with more ability comes more confidence. And then you become a much better player. And I think if I could have changed things. And also there's this window, I think, when you're in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, is such a critical window for developing skills. I kind of it was coming easy for me, and I just didn't work as hard, I'm talking ball handling, first step, going to the rim, that window, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I mean, you continue, up through college, but there's that window where you can really, really develop some great skills, ball handling, getting to the rim. So those are, if I could break it up, the one thing I'd break it up into 2, I would do, working on that stuff and hitting weights and getting stronger. That's what I would have changed, because I would have been a much better player.
Yeah, and for me, I think definitely the getting stronger aspect. And in terms of changing the trajectory, I just wish myself and the rest of my team in college, I really wish we could have been more successful. I feel like there were a couple points in college where we were on the cusp to really turning the corner and taking it to another level. And certain things, I think collectively kind of held us back, not to make excuses or anything, but I just wish things could have gone better at the college level. I think, I was at the right place for me, the right level. You know, the MAC conference, mid-major. I think it was a good conference for me. But again, I just think there were I probably could have done some things differently, and just wish I was more productive as a player at the college level.
Me too.
No doubt, no doubt. Now we're gonna get into our top five. All right, you guys gonna have to share this, right? Because this will be going on forever if you guys have your own top fives. And you probably do have your own top fives, and it may be a little bit different. But I'll be the tiebreaker.
Okay.
All right, let's have some fun with this. All right. Now, the first top five is going to be a little different because, you know, you guys did play against a lot of the same people, and you guys played with a lot of the same people. So let's try to keep it on that page right there.
Okay.
Top five guys you guys played with.
Is this in high school or just in general?
In general. Now, if you guys want to break off to college, fine. But, you know, since you guys put your heads together, of course, listen, fellas, I'm really trying to get your asses in trouble, right?
Okay.
That's the whole point. It's a top five because somebody's going to get left out.
So I guess we have to say Omar then, huh?
Oh my goodness.
You know, right now he laughing like a mom.
Or he's saying, "Oh, you better."
Look, because he said they had Omar to protect them.
I'll let Tommy start.
Top five that we played with.
Yes.
So it'd be high school and or another team tournament.
Yeah.
League.
Whatever you guys come up with, and you know, people say, "Why didn't you tell me this in the beginning? I was gonna do this." Nope, this is the whole part of the show.
Okay,
We're gonna make it fun before we get out of here.
Kenny Anderson would be one.
I'd say Khalid Reeves.
Khalid Reeves was great.
Yeah.
Derek Phelps won a national championship.
Yeah, he was. Derek was a pretty good player.
And when we were playing with him, he was like 2 years younger than us, and we were like, he was like this goofy little, not goofy, but he had this awkward little left-handed shot. And I remember saying he was like 2 years
younger. Yeah.
I remember saying, man, Terry, he's got a game.
Yeah.
And then we went away to college, and then we come home for Christmas, and we're in the paper. It's like, you know, Derek Phelps leads Christ the King, college, like, and then he signed a letter with Carolina, and he won a national championship. He's a great player.
Listen, one of the greatest point guards in New York City history that doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
He can score with the best of them. But he also can make sure that he play his role and make sure he can facilitate to everyone else. Takes a very special player to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was. I haven't seen him in years, but he was really, really
nice kid.
Nice guy.
So, all right. So we got those three. I would throw. I feel like this is all New York City high school kids.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw Rob Wardan in there also.
Really? Rob, this is the first time he is mentioned in the top five.
Well, I'm telling you, Rob, I'll never forget in Birmingham between his sophomore and junior year, he did stuff that I never saw a 6'10" guy do before. So
I wasn't on that team. I got cut. I wasn't on that team.
So who you
Salute to Rob Wardan.
Can we say Omar twice? I think he'd like that. Man, I mean,
it's hard. It's hard.
I mean, you know, Conrad McRae, Lamb Shell was like Lambert.
You only get one more.
What about someone you played with in college?
No, we're not doing college. We're not doing
Okay.
college. We're not doing college. Who else? I don't know, Adrian Autry?
Omar just threw his cup of water down, and he's stomping around his house.
Omar
mad as
Lee.
hell, in his boxing trunks.
Omar Lee is number 5.
All right. So let's get serious on this one.
Okay.
Top 5 guys you played against.
All right. That's let me do it. Let me do my 5. All right. Lionel Simmons.
I've got a Lionel Simmons story for you after this. It's
Don-
good.
Hold on. Before you start, look what he said. I told you. Look. Go ahead, T. Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
L Train, Danielle Marshall, Rodney Rogers.
Rest in peace, Rodney Rogers. He was a beast.
Beast. He was a beast.
Doug Overton.
Woo.
And Dana Barros.
Man, salute to Dana Barros. That's a hard 5 right there, brother. That's a hard 5. Go ahead, Tom. I'll give you 5.
All right. Chris Jackson at LSU. Yeah, he was averaging 27 a game as a freshman. That was my first college game ever at LSU.
How much did he have?
I think we held him to 15. He was averaging 27 a game. But they had another kid named Ricky Blanton.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And another kid named Vernell Singleton.
Yeah.
They were like insane. Stanley Roberts was on the team, but he didn't play. I don't think he could play.
And Shaq wasn't there yet.
Shaq got there the year after.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not gonna. Let me list the team. It was my sophomore year. Dennis Scott, Kenny Anderson, and Brian Oliver. We played at Georgia Tech, and they had a guy on their team who's the largest human being I'd ever played against, named Malcolm Mackey.
I remember him.
Yes.
Darryl Barnes was on the team too. From Darryl Barnes, he played at.
Didn't he play? Not Rice. He didn't play at Rice. He played that.
What was the name of that school?
LaSalle?
No, Darryl Barnes. It was. Remember the school with Troy with the jacket?
Man, somebody just was telling me about
Franklin K. Lane. I think it was Franklin K. Lane.
Darryl Barnes?
No, I don't think Darryl Barnes at Franklin K. Lane.
There.
But he was at Tech when we played them. So
Right.
So I'm
right,
listing my top 5. So those are 2 teams, but Cliff Robinson at UConn.
Oh wow, yes.
Vinny Baker at Hartford.
Right.
I blocked a shot.
Vin Baker? Wow.
Yeah. We beat him too.
We played against them too.
So that's 4, right? I give you 2 teams, and then Cliff Robinson.
He did go to Franklin K. Lane. Darryl Barnes did go to Franklin K. Lane.
Oh, yeah.
He could jump.
I think he started at Franklin K. Lane, and I think maybe transferred to a Catholic school.
And he probably went to Rice. He did. I think
yes,
he went. Yes.
Well, he could jump out of the gym. He was like,
yes.
What about the guy at FDU, Desi Wilson?
Oh, Desi Wilson. Remember Desi Wilson? Played at FDU.
He played with me at FDU.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
right. Yeah.
He was. I think he still is FDU's leading scorer.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was such a phenomenal athlete, and he was amazing. So he finished his career playing baseball.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of my buddies that I work with was really good friends with him. He played at I think Glen Cove High. You know.
Yeah.
But Desi was something else. He was something else. Funny story.
Omar Lee said, Alva Rich gave them work.
So
go ahead, Tom. Tell your story.
Was it the Lionel Simmons story? I don't remember.
Forget it.
There's many of them.
Omar, chill out. You're making us laugh too much.
Terry mentioned Lionel Simmons.
Yes.
No.
I don't know.
He mentioned him as one of his players, but he didn't tell a story.
Well, I'll tell the story because Terry called me up and said, "Hey, do you guys have a game on Tuesday? This is our freshman year in college." I said, "No." He's like, "We're playing this guy named Lionel Simmons. You should come." So I took 5 of my buddies drove to Fairfield for my freshman dorm. We drove to Fairfield, walked into the gym, and we see Lionel Simmons, and the first half he scores 3 points. And my friends look at me and say, "Well, who's this guy?" I'm like, "Well, my brother said he was great." Start of the second half, my brother Terry starts. Lionel Simmons grabs the rebound, goes coast to coast, and throws it down on his head and won. And he scored 36.
Ooh.
Yeah, he
Simmons
was
something.
He was something.
Yeah, he was special. He was special.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hank Gathers has got to be in that. My freshman year, we went out to LMU, played LMU and San Diego State, but LMU was just, Loyola Marymount was insane. Who? Hank Gathers, Bo Kimball, and they had a little guard named Jeff Fryer. That was like,
could shoot it, yeah.
and a small forward named Terrell Lowry. That was
yeah.
fantastic too.
Point guard. He was point guard.
He was like 2.
Yeah.
So, a lot of
Wow.
players. A lot of good players.
So listen, I know you guys had this argument around the house. I know you guys had to have this argument around the house about the top 5 New York City players of all time.
All right.
And you guys' perspective.
From my perspective, I gotta say Lou Alcindor. I gotta say Dwayne Washington. Oh, the Pac-Man.
That's right.
Oh man,
That's right.
Kenny's got to be in there. Who?
Kenny Smith or Kenny Anderson?
Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson. I might have to throw Lloyd Daniels in there too.
Sweet Pea.
And then I'm gonna say Albert King. Those 5 right there.
Albert King,
Oh,
1977 was the Player of the Year in America.
Yes.
And he was playing in the Brevoort tournament, being the #1 player in the country, and that's the tournament that I am commissioner of now. So
Wow.
definitely salute to
those are my 5
King.
right there. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a 5 or you going with Terry's 5?
It's Lou Alcindor. Kenny Anderson would be on the team. Man.
Mashburn.
Jamal Mashburn.
Jamal was pretty good. It's like splitting hairs though.
Yes.
After a while, it's like some of these guys, and I know we're missing out on a couple guys.
No, you guys already gave 8, so I'm just gonna take your 5, Terry,
Okay.
and we're gonna leave it like that to make it a 5, because you can't bring anyone off the bench.
Okay.
And we're gonna leave it at 5, man. But listen, guys, this was a hell of a ride, man. We pushing about 2 hours right now, and I had loads of fun with you guys. Who was this? He said, "No, Dr. J." He said, "No, Dr. J." John Casper.
He's from Roosevelt.
He's from Roosevelt.
He's from Nassau County, man.
He's a Long Island guy. I know that guy, John Casper. I know him, by the way.
Oh, is that your prank guy? Is that your guys? Is that the prank guy? And listen, we don't just discriminate on Long Island or guys from upstate. So it's all about New York as a whole. But I asked him about the New York City players. So definitely Dr. J probably would be disqualified if I said the top New York players, then probably could add him in that. But fellas, listen, like I said, man, I told you it was gonna be fun. I had a ball with you guys, man.
Cool. Thank you so much, man.
Nah. This is about you guys right here, man. You guys created history down in Newtown. I told Omar I didn't know who the hell Newtown was until I knew that Omar Lee and Van Macon went there, and then to find out you 2 guys went there as well, playing with Reb. I know about Newtown through you guys. I never heard of Newtown until you guys. So thank you for putting me on the Newtown and everything that you done for New York City. Even when you guys went to college, you represented New York City the right way. And, with the history that you guys were able to, put down for yourself and now give your kids, man. I think that's amazing, man. So I want to say salute to you guys and thank you for being, two of New York City's greatest players, man. Thank you.
Glenn.
Glenn.
Thank you again for the opportunity for us to come on and share our stories. And I know I said it before, but keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. It's great.
It's so great.
Thank you.
So much fun to watch, and it's a treat. It really is.
Appreciate you. Says it's a shame this wasn't a call-in because those two. That's the guy you were talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, Glenn, thank you again for this. We really appreciate it. This was so much fun.
So much fun. June 15th.
June 15th, Tom Kachowski, Foundation All-City game going down at Molloy High School. They'll be starting at 6 o'clock. All right?
Sounds great, Glenn.
Glenn, thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
You guys can stick around. I'm about to do my closing remarks and then get out of here. All right?
Okay.
Appreciate you guys. Man, isn't that special, man? You see two brothers, and they twins, right? Twins that were different sizes. I don't think I've never saw that before. All the twins I know was always the same size. But you see, one brother being more interested in the game than the other brother, then he reaches in to make sure that his brother can join him, right? This is how they fought for each other. Motivated his brother to play, and then another brother gets hurt and gets cut from the team. The other brother gets his back to make sure his brother is playing. Like, that's what family is about. And when we talk about New York City basketball and the big men that play and the top shooters that that displayed their shooting touches throughout the city, you definitely got to talk about the Fitzsimons brothers. Newtown, would have never reached that 25-1 plateau without that great three-men front court. You had the guards, Omar Lee and Van Macon up top. They made history. Never forget that. To all you kids out in Newtown, the whole coaching staff, these guys need to be remembered because they're the closest thing to you guys of having a championship team since the 20s. And I don't think no Newtown team has ever had a record of 25-1 in our modern era. So salute to the Fitzsimons brothers and everything that they did for Newtown and New York City basketball. Well, I'm about to get out of here. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads Live, the podcast on NYC Basketball Network. And as we always say around this time, we are the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.